You're listening to the Save the Date podcast, where we talk all things weddings, jewellery and romance. With love from Cullen Jewellery.
Hello and welcome back to the Save the Date podcast. I'm Sheridan.
And I'm Juliette, and we are so happy you're here.
Welcome to part 2 of basically your ultimate timeline for planning your dream wedding. This week, we're going to tell you everything that you need to do in the 6 months leading up to your wedding. If you missed it, we did 18 months to 6 months 2 episodes ago. So if you haven't watched that or listened to that already, make sure you go and do that first.
So sit back, relax, maybe grab a notebook and a cup of tea. This one's going to be good. Let's get straight into it.
So we'll just start by doing a quick recap on everything that you need to do when you are 6 months out from the wedding. So the first thing here is that you'll need to renew your passports if you are going on a international honeymoon. The last thing that you want to do is realise 3 weeks out from the wedding that your passports are expired or almost expired. So yeah, if you're going on an international honeymoon, make sure that you do this kind of earlier rather than later.
Yes, even if you're getting married overseas, also important. You need to be able to make it to your own wedding.
Yeah.
The other thing we mentioned was to start wedding ring shopping you don't want to leave this much later than 6 months out, because especially a lot of wedding bands are made to order and the wait times for those can be 8 to 10 weeks. So you want to allow yourself plenty of time to pick the design as well as order it, have it made up, and then if by chance you need to make any sort of alterations to the size because it's not quite right, you still have time to also do that.
Yeah. You'll also want to book in and finalise your hair and makeup artist. By this point also, you want to have all of your vendors booked in. So we won't be touching on pretty much any of your day of vendors in this episode. They are all in the previous part 1. But yeah, at 6 months, you want to have your hair and makeup artist is kind of the last one that you want to make sure is all booked in.
And then lastly as well, we touched on that you want to be sending out your save the dates if you're having a local wedding. You don't want to really be leaving it much later than this. You want to give your guests plenty of time to be available and lock that date in so they don't plan anything else. If you are having a destination wedding, it was much earlier than 6 months out. You need to it's best to give much more notice. But yeah, 6 months is really like the last, you don't want to be leaving it too much later than this.
All right. So now we are 5 months out from the wedding. This is when you'll want to order your formal invitations. So you don't need to necessarily send them out yet, but get in contact with your stationery provider and have them designed and order them in just so that they have enough time to actually make them for you.
Yeah. Even if you're making them yourself,
yes.
You may want to, put something together, come back to it with fresh eyes. It still can take a couple weeks to get that sorted. So yeah, you don't really want to be leaving it too much later than 5 months.
Yeah. And also on that point as well, if you're doing them yourself and getting them printed, you'll probably want to print out a few different types and on different papers and things like that, because some things, especially if you're ordering online, will look quite different online to how they actually print out. So yeah, you want to make sure you've got that time to change things up if you need to.
Mm-hmm. The next thing you kind of want to be looking at the 5 month mark is booking and finalising your honeymoon. I suppose it's the same for any holiday. You don't want to be leaving it much later than 5 months of booking unless you're spontaneous. But you really want to be making sure you've got your hotels booked, flights, anything major to do with your honeymoon. You want to have that locked in so you don't have to stress about it closer to the wedding. Number one, you'll also probably save a lot of money by doing it as far out as possible.
Yeah. This is also when you'll want to start looking at and purchasing any additional wedding outfits. So if you've got, a getting ready outfit, pajamas, your bachelorette dress, if you are having a second dress on the day, like a reception outfit, this is kind of the latest that you'll want to start doing that kind of thing, especially if you're getting something custom made. Something I guess to be mindful of is if you are getting a second wedding dress for your reception outfit, you probably want to have done this a lot sooner and more towards the kind of time when you're purchasing your ceremony dress, just because we touched on this in the first in part 1, but your wedding dress can take kind of between 6 to 10 months depending on the boutique to actually come in and get made. So if you are purchasing a second wedding dress, then you want to have done that prior to now. But if you're just buying, you know, something online or something like that, then I would say you want to have it finalized by the 5-month mark.
Yeah. Another good thing to kind of include with that is also your wedding shoes.
Yes.
Just because, I mean, with this, obviously, you have a bit of leeway, like you could do it slightly closer to the wedding, but it's good to start like looking around, seeing what you do and don't like, because if you can purchase them as early as possible, it also gives you a chance to break them in a little bit. You can wear them around the house so they don't obviously get scuffed and look dirty. But yeah, especially with like heels, some heels are just more comfortable if you can break them in a little bit. So yeah, another good thing to kind of keep in mind when you're planning all the other outfits.
Yeah. I think even with like any shoes in general, in terms like your wedding shoes, even if they are flats, like, yeah, definitely break them in because you are going to be on your feet all day and in those shoes all day. So you want to make sure that they are as comfortable as possible. This is also when you want to look at hiring or purchasing the suits for the groom, the groomsman, or anyone who's going to be wearing a suit for the day. Yeah, about 5 months out is when you want to start doing that.
Yeah. And I suppose this probably applies the most to the groom, but if he's going to have anything tailored as well, if he wants the suit jacket or the entire suit or the shirt or whatever tailored, again, this just gives you plenty of time to make those alterations if needed.
Yeah. You will also want to book in any transportation to or from the venue. So if you're wanting, you know, to hire a limo or to hire a fancy car that's going to take you from where you're getting ready to the venue, or that's going to take you and your new spouse away from the wedding, about 5 months is when you want to book that in as well.
Also a good time to start your beauty treatments.
Yes.
One of the more fun things for at least me.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like facials and stuff, it may seem like really far out to start something like that, but you don't want to be starting anything new too close to the wedding, because who knows, like sometimes with facials, the way they work is by like getting your skin to not shed, but like
purge is what I like to call it.
Purge.
Yeah.
So like you could break out for a little bit with those facials, and then afterwards that's when your skin becomes super clear and glowing and all that kind of stuff. So, or you could just have an allergic reaction to it and it completely stuffs you up. So yeah, if you're planning on having facials and I guess, I mean, all the other beauty treatments probably aren't as big of a deal. I think it is mainly the facials, or if you want to start getting, maybe if you wanted to try something new, I would do it at this point again, so you're not messing up your face or whatever else. That just in case, because even something like if you wanted to try getting an eyelash lift or eyelashes, like even that, you can have an allergic reaction to something like that, and you don't want that to be happening 2 or 3 weeks out from your wedding, like God forbid. And you've got this, you know, so it's like, you know, you don't need to be getting lashes every single month 5 months out, but like at least try it then, just to make sure you know how your body responds to it.
Yeah. Well, also, like, just to touch on, I guess, the beauty treatments, like skin treatments, generally speaking, you would get them done like once a month, and then like maybe a more hydrating or something treatment every couple of weeks closer to the wedding. So if you think about it, like 5 months out, if you're just getting one treatment done a month, that's only 5 treatments.
Yeah.
So it's actually like not that many. It's not like you're going to be in the salon every single week for the next 5 months. Generally, you would only be in every 3 to 4 weeks anyway. So it might only be 5 or 6 treatments that you actually have done in that time period.
And you can also start experimenting with some nails as well, nail designs.
Yes.
If you're not sure what you want, you can start trying out a few different styles, see what you like best.
Yep. And also your hair as well, if you get your hair coloured. And like if you're wanting your hair to be, I don't know, let's say blonde or blonder for your wedding, but currently your hair's really dark, then you probably want to start that transition, 5 to 6 months before the wedding as well.
For sure.
Because that can take some time.
Yes. You can't go super blonde in one session if you've got dark hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
And lastly, the last thing we have on our 5-month mark is begin menu tastings with your caterer, as well as even your cake, wedding cake. You can, it's good to start again trying things to kind of start thinking about what you like, what you don't like, and setting things in.
Yeah. Perfect. So we are now 4 months out from the wedding. This is when I would say that you want to have your menu finalized. So in that kind of 5 months, you're trialing out, you're testing your caterers and different foods. In the 4-month mark is when you want to actually finalize that and decide fully what you want. And this is also when I would say that you should start ordering your menus from your stationery provider as well, so that you've got them for the day ready, rather than waiting to do them until really late.
Yeah. And on that same note again, the wedding cake, you hopefully would have had a bunch of tastings in the previous month, because even with that, like, you may think you know what baker or wedding cake baker you want, and then you try their stuff and it's not for you, or you look at their designs and it's not for you. So hopefully you've done that all in the month before. Now it's time to finalize and actually put in that order for your wedding cake.
Yeah. This is when you'll also want to start making, I guess, a music playlist or wish list. Just start thinking about it. Start adding songs that you like onto a little wish list that you can a bit later on down the line send to your DJ or your band. And this is also when you'll want to start thinking about your, main songs. So the song that you're going to be walking down the aisle to, the song that you're going to be doing your first dance to, your, what do they call it when you walk into the wedding?
Oh,
like your
entrance song?
Entrance song, into your reception.
Yeah.
A song when you cut the cake, all of those kinds of things, your exit song. Also, if you do have a band or like a singer, an acoustic duo, anything like that, and you're wanting them to learn the songs, you want to make sure that you've got those songs sent to them as early as possible. So definitely pick out all of those, I guess, highlight songs at this point too.
Yeah. And I think it probably is the most important to, send them through to any sort of live music so they can kind of have plenty of time to learn them and prepare and practice. But just start thinking about your playlist. It obviously, again, it doesn't need to be 100% set in stone at this point, but it's good to give yourself plenty of time, because you may, like, it's hard to think of stuff on the spot.
It is,
And even like if you're like 2 weeks out and you've got a whole, like, so much is going on, it's like you may forget about songs that you like, you've always wanted for your wedding. And it's like, it gives you plenty of time to, slowly, as you randomly think of stuff, note it down and add it in there.
And this is also when you'll want to have your hair and makeup trial. This just gives you time, being, still a few months out from the wedding, that if you aren't happy, you can book in to have either another trial with that same makeup artist, or to try and find a different makeup artist, and also have a trial with them before the wedding. Yeah.
Very important, I would say. Well, at least for me, I would not skip on that. You definitely, because you want to feel your best.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people, just like any sort of artist, everyone has their own style that comes out, and sometimes you're not a good fit. Like the way someone does makeup might not suit your facial features, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they're a bad artist. It just means they're not suited to you. So you want that wiggle room.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so now we are 3 months out from the wedding. Everything's getting serious now.
Exciting.
So this, at the 3-month mark, is when you want to be sending out your formal invitations to all of your guests. You already have sent the save the dates, so they know that they're coming. But this will have all of the details with, the starting time, where, if you're going to be moving, what time the reception's going to start, what time the ceremony is going to start, and just all of those nitty-gritty details, any dress codes, things like that, giving them 3 months to have that invitation, know all of that information is, I guess, the perfect timing. It's not too early that they're just going to forget about it and it's going to get put on a fridge and covered up with a drawing that their children made or anything like that. But it's kind of close enough to the wedding that, like I said, it's not going to get forgotten, but they've still got time to do all of those things that they need to.
And have plenty of time as well to then respond to you as well. So you can have plenty of time to make sure you know what numbers are coming, because I guess if you've left it open to plus ones, you may not know 100%. Like that number of guests still could be varying quite a lot rather than just by a few people, Yeah.
You will also want to finalise your ceremony program and also select any readings. So a lot of ceremonies and weddings, they'll have somebody, whether it's a family member or a good friend, that will do a reading for the wedding. This is when you want to have those selected, have told those people so that they can prepare, they can practice them as much as they want. Really kind of get that ceremony stuff all set in stone.
This is also a good time to start any DIY projects that you may have decided to do. If you some of the, I guess, the smaller things or maybe some of the larger things you've picked out that you want to do yourself. Again, it just gives you plenty of time to actually do it. You don't want to be leaving it to the last minute, just in case. If it's something you're trying for the first time, you may want to practice a little bit before you actually do the final piece. It just gives you plenty of time so you're not too stressed in that last month or so leading up to the wedding, that, you can take your time with it.
It also does give you a little bit of time as well if you do try it out and it's just too hard, that you can kind of have that time to find somebody to do it for you. Pivot. And then this is also when you'll want to start brainstorming and looking at thank you gifts and wedding favors, just so that you've got them all done and dusted still a few months out from the wedding. Or if you, again, need to make anything for them, you've got that time to do so.
Yeah. Or order something.
Yeah.
If you're doing, I don't know, cookies or something like that, they obviously, you need to put that order in. Okay, 2 months out, almost there. Okay, so this is a good point to start writing your wedding vows. We touched on this in an episode, 2 episodes ago, maybe 3 episodes?
3 or 4 maybe?
Yeah. Just start kind of putting words on a page. Again, we kind of went through this all in that other episode, but your first draft is most likely not going to be your final draft. I kind of hope it wouldn't be your final draft. It's always good to kind of, come back to it, change, come back to make sure you're happy. You really want to be looking at this in that last 2 months.
Yeah. Perfect. And then this is also when you'll want to start purchasing your wedding party gifts. Whether you're getting your bridesmaids all little bracelets or earrings or something like that they can wear on the day, about 2 months out is when you'll want to start looking at buying those kinds of things as well.
And then you want to organise your marriage licence.
Yes.
So this can be a little bit of a process.
Yeah. So for most of your, I guess, celebrants or officiants, generally speaking here in Australia, I know that they will generally do it for you. So it might not be something that you necessarily have to think too much about. It'll more so just be signing things with your celebrant in preparation for them to send off all of the details. However, I have seen a lot of things in other countries that the couple actually have to do it themselves. So at this 2 month mark is where I have seen is the most important to be getting this kind of organised and ordered, I guess, and sent off for.
The next thing you want to be doing is finalising and sending the music list to your DJ.
Yeah.
Again, it just gives the DJ or your music act plenty of time to make sure that they have the songs you want. It also then gives them time to look at the music you've sent through and be like, oh, okay, so this is what they like, and then they can, I guess, tailor it a bit better to what they think your overall vibe would be.
Yeah. Or something else that you can do as well is if you don't necessarily want to worry about sending a full list of songs that you want to hear, you might have, I don't know, five or 10 that you definitely want. But you can also do like a definitely do not playlist.
Yeah.
So then they know that they might have a playlist that they have, you know, standard for most weddings, but they can take all of those songs off. Any songs that you definitely don't like, make sure that you mention those to your DJ or your music act as well.
Yeah. At this point as well, you can start finishing or finalising the purchases of any extra little things you need for DIY items or decor. Like you might have some little extra table details that, aren't really supplied by the florist or the venue or whatnot that you just kind of want to organise yourself. You can, make sure you're doing this at this point again. So there's plenty of time for those to be shipped out and arrive and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I would also say at this 2-month mark is to start dance lessons if you want to have a, I guess, more structured first dance. Obviously, a lot of people will just do, I guess, a step and sway for their first dance. But if you are wanting to do something a little bit more structured, if you're wanting to learn a ballroom dance.
If your partner doesn't know how to dance.
If your partner doesn't know how to dance, or if you're wanting to do, you know, a really fun, like full-on choreographed dance routine, then I would say at about 2 months out, especially if you've never danced before, if your partner's never danced before, it definitely gives you enough time to actually learn it and have it ingrained in your mind, so you don't have to think about it on the day. It'll just kind of come naturally when the song comes on. And a little tip for this as well is to practice or try and practice in a dress or a skirt that has a similar shape as your wedding dress. So if you have a really large like princess wedding gown, it's going to be very different dancing in that to like dancing in jeans or in trackies or anything like that. So try and wear a skirt or something that is kind of similar. I've definitely seen some people will tie like a doona around their waist just to give that
same
feel. And wedding dresses are quite heavy as well. They've got a lot of material to move around. If you've got a train on your dress as well, like it's lots of things to, I guess, think about for your first dance. So if you can, try and practice in something that's kind of going to be a little bit similar. And if you're wrapping a doona around you, your husband or soon-to-be husband, fiance, other person that you're marrying, they're not going to be able to figure out what it actually looks like. Like they're still going to have no idea, but at least they'll be able to get a feel for what it's like.
Yeah. And on that same note, I would say the same thing with your shoes.
Yeah.
If you've got quite a high heel, I would also be practicing in those. Again, if you don't want to ruin your actual shoes or get them dirty, just try and find another pair that's similar in heel height or similar in the shape of the shoe, just so you can get a feel for like dancing in them, to make sure obviously you don't want to trip, you don't want to slip, you don't want your actual shoe to fall off if it's one of those slip-on heels. And that same goes for your partner. If they've got a certain type of shoe, they can also be quite slippery. Those like Tux, I don't know what they're actually called, the Tux shoes or the dress shoe. Again, it doesn't have to be their actual wedding shoe, but something similar. They can be a little slippery. So.
Well, also even like those shoes, like I know it's technically not a heel, it's not a high heel on like a men's shoe, but they do still have that little bit of a heel and a tiny bit of an arch that's quite different to like a sneaker that they might generally wear. So they can feel a little bit different. So definitely practicing dancing in them, walking around in them is important if they don't usually wear that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This is also when you want to start booking in your final beauty appointments. So, if you want to book in your nails, any other, like if you want to get your, brows done, eyelashes done, any last minute facials, you want to be booking these in now again, just so you're getting the time slot and date you want. which I guess is going to be different for everyone. Like, I know my nails grow so quick, so I would need an appointment like a few days before so they look nice and fresh. So yeah, little things like that. Yeah. It just, you want to make sure that there's the availability that you want.
Even like you touched on brows. So I know that this is sometimes a common thing for some people, is that when they get their brows waxed, they kind of break out. So what I did is I had a brow appointment, I think it was like 2 weeks before the wedding. I got like the full shape and got them dyed and everything. And then I went back in a few days before the wedding and just got her to like pluck them and re-dye them. So it wasn't like a full-on wax that I was going to end up breaking out because of. But yeah, that's kind of something that you'll want to speak to your beautician about. Is that an option? If that's something that is generally a concern for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like even some treatments, I know it's best to not wear makeup for a certain period of time, or there's other little things that you have to that come into play. So like you want to make sure that you're booking those appointments in with the right amount of time before the wedding, or like that it's not going to clash with your even like a rehearsal dinner or some other thing that you've got going on at the time. Even
like teeth whitening, when like you then can't eat certain foods or drink certain things for a week or so afterwards. So yeah, definitely think about those kind of things earlier.
Our final month.
We're getting there.
We're almost there.
So you are now 1 month out from your wedding, and this is when you'll want to be paying your vendors in full, finalising all of those payments. It can kind of feel like when you're planning a wedding, you pay half of everything, like, 12 to 8 months out from the wedding, and then you forget about it all. And then it comes to 1 month before the wedding and all of your final payments are due, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, where did the budget go? You thought you had so much left and, that you'd done so well, and now all of it's gone.
So again, just in that final month, like we mentioned before, you really want to be breaking in your wedding shoes if you haven't done so up until this point. Again, you're going to be on your feet all day. You don't want to be in pain and blisters. So, I would really be doing this in that final month if you hadn't already. As well as, if you're doing dance lessons too.
Wear your wedding shoes like around the house as much as possible, literally like while you're doing the dishes, while you're cooking dinner, while you're washing your clothes, folding your clothes. Just wear them as much as possible. Going to be the best thing that you can possibly do for your little tootsies on the day.
Yes. And this also, with that 1 month out, this I guess also gives you the chance that if you've started wearing them around the house and you're like coming to the point where you're like, no, I can't do this. Like, this is too painful. You still do have a month to then go find something else. God forbid you are in that situation where you're like, no, I literally can't do this. You've still got the month to try and find an alternative, which, and even like buying online, a month still gives you time for shipping. So, I would definitely recommend doing that. Absolutely.
This is when you'll also want to be having your final walkthrough and your final meeting with your venue. So generally this will be confirming all of your numbers for the day, and also just going through anything else that they're going to be needing to do on the wedding day, anything that they're going to set up. You might also book in like a little mini appointment to drop off all your things closer to the wedding date. But just having that meeting with them, talking to their kind of wedding coordinator type of thing that they have, and just going through any final details.
Yeah, and that also comes in with like if there's any other vendors who need to organise or coordinate with the venue, you can, I guess, talk through that as well. Like I know sometimes the florist will set up at the venue without you kind of being there on the day. I guess you can kind of talk through that and organise that and make sure everything is like all good to go. Just making sure you're on the same page about absolutely everything. Nothing's been overlooked.
Yeah. And so this is also when you'll want to let them know, like I said, your final guest list, as well as any dietary requirements for your guests, whether that's to your venue if they're doing all of the catering or to your external caterer, just letting them know all of those kinds of things so that they can kind of add that into their menu as well. And also you'll want to finalize your seating chart. Now that you've got all of your RSVPs back, your venue knows who's coming, you'll be able to finalize your seating chart. If you haven't done that already, this is when you want to really kind of lock that in.
And one last thing for that 1 month out, you want to be preparing all your cash tips for your vendors. This is mainly a US kind of thing because we don't really tip here in Australia.
No.
But obviously the tipping over there, you're going to need cash in hand on the day. So you really want to be organising all of that. I suppose here in Australia, I know it is also, I've heard of DJs and stuff being paid in cash at the end of the night. So potentially if that's the case for you, you could also need some cash. But if there's anyone who needs, any of your vendors who needs cash in hand on the day, you want to organise this now so you've just got it ready to go.
Yeah, and like you can also pass that off to somebody else on the day, like a friend or family member, so that you don't have to worry about actually giving it to the vendor while you're, in the middle of partying and enjoying your wedding. You've got someone else that your vendor knows they can go to be able to get that cash tip at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Okay, it's official. 2 weeks out from the wedding. So this is when you'll want to have your final meeting with all of your vendors. So with your wedding planner, or if you have decided to not do a wedding planner and to do a day of coordinator, you'll want to have your final meeting with them. Make sure they know all of your other vendors. They've got contacts. They can all kind of keep in touch with each other. Just going over all of those final details. That'll also include your photographer, your videographer. It might include your makeup artist and your hairstylist. And just going through them with them all, your kind of day of timeline, when things are going to be happening, what time they definitely need to be, at your house while you're getting ready for the photographer, what time your makeup artist is going to be starting for the day and those kinds of things.
Addresses.
Yes.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we're all very clear where and when.
Yeah. I had a scene actually, it must have been on TikTok or something the other day of this, I think it was a photographer just like kind of walked into a house and it wasn't the right house.
Oh, no.
They like got there, knocked on the door. I think it was just, like one house over that they'd gone to like the neighbor instead, and they were like, what are you doing here?
I would panic so hard. All right, what else do we got? Yes, if you've got a shot list for your photographer, I mean, most photographers would kind of know what shots to get anyway, and they would obviously, they're the professionals, they know the kind of go-to or like what most people would want. In case there was anything really specific that you wanted to get, you can just kind of cross-check with your photographer to make sure that it's also on their list. I think this is important as well. Most people that I have spoken to, there's always a photo that they wanted that they didn't get, including like they don't have a photo of them and their siblings just like alone without their spouse. So it's more those kinds of things that you want to be making sure your photographer is aware of, that, I want a photo of me and my mum just, standing and smiling at the camera. And I want a photo of me and this person, or, whatever it is. Send those kinds of things to your photographer just so that they're aware of them. Like you were saying, they are the professional, if you've picked a very, like someone that's done a lot of weddings, they know what to look for and that kind of thing. You don't want to interrupt the flow of the day for them. It's more so just making sure that you are getting all of the photos that you really want, so that you're not going to get your photos back and go, oh, I don't have a photo of me with this person. That's such a shame. It's more for those kinds of things. Yeah. The next thing is also finalising your wedding vows. You should have already been like kind of thinking about it, jotting the stuff down, and writing some drafts and whatnot. This is kind of when you really want to be making sure they're locked in and set in stone, just so it also gives you some time to then rehearse them a little bit and hopefully memorize them as much as possible, so you're not looking down as much. But yeah, this also gives you a chance, which again we touched on in this episode, if you want someone else to read through them, it gives you a chance to show them. And if you do need to make any small adjustments, again, you've got plenty of time to still do that as well as learn them as much as possible.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I would say at this point is to purchase your lipstick for the day of, as well as your perfume. You can obviously do this like way before this point if you wanted to. But yeah, 2 weeks out, if you haven't yet, I would definitely make those purchases as well. Just so that you've got like your lipstick on the day, and then your makeup artist can use the same one in the morning and you've got it there for touch-ups throughout the day. Like your lipstick is the main thing that's like mostly going to come off, because on your wedding day, you kiss your partner more than you have ever kissed your partner before in your entire life. Like, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Because all of the photos, you're with your photographer and your videographer, if you have one, they're going kiss, 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 kiss. And everyone's going kiss, kiss. You get to the end of the aisle, like straight after you've kissed, they go kiss, kiss, kiss. So yeah, your lipstick is like the one main, I guess, makeup product that you definitely want to have a like little one of for the day.
And the only other one I can kind of think of off the top of my head is even like a setting powder or a touch up, just so if you're getting a bit shiny, you can also have that in your little kit that you can bring along. Maybe sometimes you can get those like little travel size ones, so it's not as big and bulky if you wanted to bring one.
Or even there's I've never used it personally, but there's that like blotting powder, not powder,
the little
like
sheets.
Or also I've seen like a roller thing lately. I don't really know what it is.
But how it works. Yeah, that's good.
I've seen that like work really well, just to get the oil off your skin without necessarily like adding any more makeup or taking away your makeup. They can be really handy as well.
All right. The week of the wedding, we've made it.
We've made it.
To the final week. Okay. So this is kind of where you want to be, or you will most likely be having your final dress fitting.
Yeah.
Hopefully by that stage, everything's good to go.
Yeah.
And there is no other adjustments that need to take place. But yeah, I suppose it's, that final fitting as well as picking up the dress.
Yeah. You'll also want to start packing any overnight bags. You'd rather have this done sooner rather than later. And if you are kind of going somewhere, I guess a little bit further away and staying the night before the wedding and the night of the wedding, make sure that you have both of those bags packed and you take both of those bags with you. I know a lot of people that forget to bring their like wedding night bag to the wedding. And they end up having to have someone run and grab it for them, because obviously like there's so much to think about on the day. But yeah, I would say the week of the wedding, just start packing all of those things so that you've got them there and ready. Yeah.
And like even with if you're staying the night before, or you may be able to go drop off your bag earlier with some of, like, I don't know, maybe some of the hotels or some accommodation might allow you to do that beforehand. So you're not worrying about it the day of, if that's when you're like checking in.
You'll also want to press and steam all of your day of outfits. Something to be mindful of that I hear a lot of like makeup artists and wedding planners say is a nightmare is when you're trying to steam your dress after you've just had your hair and makeup done, because obviously it's hot air, like
water.
It's steam, hot water. So it can end up sweating your makeup off, making your hair go frizzy. So if you have all of those things done before the wedding, even better.
Absolutely. And the next one is practicing your vows out loud. Again, you should have your vows finalized by this stage, but this is, I guess, comes down more to the practice and getting confident with them and kind of, knowing what you're saying, so you don't have to be relying so much on little cue cards, and just, getting confident with the way the words flow from your mouth and fixing anything just in case a couple words are really hard to get out. Sometimes a sentence is just really a bit of a tongue twister, and on paper it's fine, but then you are trying to say it and you're like, oh, I need to change this quickly. So again, it just removes any issues.
Yeah.
Irons out the creases.
You will also want to pack for your honeymoon if you're leaving straight after the wedding. Again, if you're going to be needing all of these things, like all these different bags to be taken with you the day before the wedding, make sure that you've got everything packed, already done, have a big list of everything that you need to do and tick it off. Don't be afraid to put undies and socks on that list because they are like one of the main things that people forget. Yes. Your toothpaste, toothbrush. All
the obvious things.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do in this week is go and get your rings cleaned. Your wedding band, you shouldn't have worn it yet, so that should be perfectly fine, but your engagement ring, at Cullen Jewelry, we offer free cleaning for all of our clients in the ultrasonic. You can come get that done. If you're just getting it cleaned, that only takes about 5 minutes. But yeah, if you're wanting to get it polished as well, that can take a few days. So yeah, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If you did actually want to get polished probably in the month before, you could probably look into that. But yeah, if you're just looking for a clean, it literally takes 5 minutes just in the ultrasonic, and then your ring is sparkling, ready to go for your wedding day.
In the week of the wedding, this is when you will also want to deliver any of your small decor items to the venue, any DIY items that you've made. If you can get them delivered to the venue before the wedding, obviously if you're having a destination wedding, it might not work so well. But if you are getting married more local to, your home, then definitely deliver those things to the venue in that week. It just means that you don't have to think about bringing them the day before the wedding or the day of the wedding. They're already there. You don't have to think about it anymore.
You can also write, this is the week you want to be writing your thank you notes to everyone. And again, just getting that out the way so you don't have to be thinking about it. Have it done. And just, you don't need to be stressing. Or I feel like that's one of the things that can get overlooked, and then it's like, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
So, get that done during some time that week.
Yep. And on that same note, this is when you can also write your partner a day of note or package their gift, anything like that. If you're doing that kind of thing, it's like very popular nowadays to write your partner a little note for them to read before the wedding. So yeah, at least if you're doing that kind of the week of the wedding rather than the morning of or the day of, it just takes that stress away as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then that brings us to the wedding.
Then it's wedding day and it's go. Then everything falls beautifully into place for you.
Yes. Yeah. And if it doesn't, it still will.
Yes.
Just go with the flow.
So thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Save the Date podcast. We hope you learned something new, and if you're currently planning your wedding, congratulations, good luck, and have fun.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you follow and subscribe and leave us a review wherever it is that you're listening.
Make sure that you come and connect with us on all of our socials at the Save the Date podcast and join our Facebook group, the Save the Date community. We hope you have a wonderful day or night, and we will be back with another episode next week. Bye.
Bye.